Hi everyone, thanks for joining us here at Book Blather. If you're new here, I'm Dave, this is Olive, and we mostly talk about books, although we do talk about some other things now. So, the book we want to talk to you about today, we want to do a single book review for this because um, we love this book, and this is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. So this book was published in 2020. We bought it like right after it was published. We were having shoulder surgery, thinking we were going to read it while we were recovering, and we didn't. And then we kind of forgot about it. We put it in our bin over there, and we literally forgot about it. And it came up again, and it came up again recently because we some other people were interested, and we did a group read of this with our fellow booktuber and partner in crime, Gareth from Book Songs and Other Magic, and viewer extraordinaire, Constance Campbell. So we did a group read of it, which was great fun. We all enjoyed the book. I think different levels and different interpretations. So this is about. Sometimes I'm not always a fan of books that are left open to interpretation. This was one of those books, and but I really liked it in this book, and we'll get into a little bit of why that is. So, this book, we are halfway through the year, and this book is probably my favorite book of the year so far, my favorite read of the year so far. And I mean, this book was just like it's just like a little bit of magic squished in between two covers for a bunch of reasons. So the first is basically the world building and the settings, and it's not overly complex, but it was very unique, and some of that ties into how you interpret the book. But basically, what it is about is we follow our main character Piranesi, and he lives in this mysterious house that is vast and is filled with all these halls that go in every direction. And all of these halls, a lot of these halls have these there's majestic statues in them of different aspects of nature and mythological settings, and each it's Piranesi has been here a very long time, as long as he can remember, and he has explored this whole house, and he keeps everything he keeps everything in these detailed journals of all his journeys, and he knows where everything is. And there are these strange tides that will come in and flood certain halls at certain times, and he knows the schedules. And there are in addition to these statues, another major feature is that there are a number of skeletons that are in this house, throughout the house, that are very important to him. He has a lot of reverence for this place, for this house, and these people that have gone before him. And so he takes great care of these skeletons and makes sure that he protects them from any dangers. And he is, constantly, as I said, constantly like exploring the house and keeping detailed notes, and he really has a real mastery of the geography of the house. He spends almost all his time there alone, and he lives a very austere lifestyle. He doesn't have a lot, except that the only other person that he knows is this person, the other. And he only sees the other occasionally, certain, regularly scheduled intervals. He sees the other, and the other has given him certain things, certain certain necessities and vitamins and things like that he needs. And it's the so you have this very unique setting with all these different statues that he's constantly seeing and admiring, and every now and then a little aspect of like real nature, um, a real a real piece of nature that'll be there, so that when you are as you are reading all this, you are constantly, or at least I was, as somebody that's always like constantly looking for subtext in this books, you are always constantly searching for metaphor, because you're always seeing these different visages, all these different statues of different scenes, and you're always searching for some kind of symbolism within the story. And that in itself, I think, was a very like majestic part of this writing, I think, and of this setting, was to create that kind of experience for the reader. Um, it's also, there's this evolving mystery as it goes on, and you're trying to figure out what this house is and what Piranesi's place in it is, because in parallel to this, we are also exposed to a story of a set of academics, in particular this one, revered or somewhat revered in certain groups professor that has a number of academic students under him, and they are all exploring a sort of fringe aspect of science, I guess you would say. And so it's not, it's atypical, and so you are constantly wondering what its relation is to this world in which we see Piranesi. And it's hard for me to say too much about it, but although I guess it's hard to spoil, actually, to be honest with you, because it's open to interpretation of what's happening. So, I mean, you are seeing these sort of academics in our world that are doing these experiments and doing these sort of fringe things to access this world. And then you see this other world, and you're wondering what that really means. What is this other setting that we're in? And how much of it is real, and where is it real, and how much of it, and so I will say that when we group read this, we had, when I read it, I thought there was very strong signals to a particular interpretation of what this house was, and why Piranesi was there. And my fellow group readers had different interpretations that they felt, I think, equally as strong about. And so it was interesting in that way, that it had these different, I guess, these very different strong signals depending on the reader of what was actually going on, and what, again, what this place was, and what Piranesi's place in this world was. And so I just thought it was a really, really amazing book, because it was just this very unique little bit of world building that you had going on that was very unusual. It was this like very sort of magical, whimsical world that you could really get lost in, that you did really get lost in. There's not lot of books where I really kind of just get lost in the world and kind of forget about time and my real world, about what, I kind of just stop paying attention and get lost in this. And that's what this was like. Even though it wasn't an overly complex world, you just really get lost in it, because it was just such a mysterious, whimsical place. And you're constantly trying to figure out this mystery. You get fed these little pieces, and you get fed these pieces in parallel to Piranesi's experience in this. Later, towards the end of the story, when Piranesi has a somewhat different experience, and you're trying to interpret that, you're trying to figure that out and how it all connects. And it was a great little fantasy mystery story. It's kind of genre defying. It's kind of hard to pigeonhole this book in what's, and that's another important thing I should have said right at the beginning. I think this is a book for anyone, that anybody can enjoy. The rest of my family, they don't like most of the stuff that I like, but I was recommending this to all of them because I think anybody can enjoy this story, because it's not just, you can read it at a very surface level about this weird sort of fantasy world that's centered in this labyrinth, but you can also, and definitely should, go a little bit deeper and trying to figure out what the interpretation of this is. And that spans everything from, depending on how you read the story, that could span everything from psychology to quantum mechanics to who knows what. So it's really, I don't want to make it sound like it's overly complicated, but I think everybody would enjoy this book. I really, really do. And I think this is, Constance said that she's pretty sure she will revisit this in the future. And I rarely do that with books, and I wasn't sure that I would do that when I first closed the book, but I think I will read this again just because the experience was so enjoyable and because the mystery, there was so much to the mystery of figuring out what was going on. I think I would really love to read it a second time to see. I will definitely pick up on things that I didn't the first time. So, if you have not read this book, I would highly recommend it no matter what genre of books that you favor. I think anybody would get enjoyment out of this thing. And I would, if you've already read it, I would really love to hear your thoughts about it. And if you want to message me in private, we always have our Instagram link below, so you can always DM me if you want to DM like private messages. Oh, sorry, us, right? If you want to DM us private messages, not in the public comments about your interpretation of it, you can always email us or DM us. We'd be really curious to hear what other people think. Or if you haven't yet read it, you know, I hope that you do, and then come back and give us your thoughts on it because I just thought this was a very unique, extremely enjoyable read. So thanks to Gareth and Constance for group reading with me. So after sitting on it for 5 years, finally got to it. This was really fun experience. So, all right, that's it. Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. You got anything else to add on this matter, Olive? Any further comments on this book, or did I cover it all? I covered it all? Yeah, she's so supportive, super supportive. So, all right, guys, thanks so much for watching. We will see you again very soon. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time.